Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to take you through my thoughts on the R6 Mark III. Now, I don't have the camera. I'm just really evaluating at the moment, and it's still on pre-order as well. So I haven't jumped on the bandwagon just yet, but I've got the R5 and I've extensively used that camera in my commercial and corporate video productions over the years. I've had it since it came out, and it's been an unreal camera. And this is weird because the R6 Mark III doesn't seem like it's an upgrade because it's not a higher end camera, but the spec sheet looks really, really good for what I do. And it does remove some pain points from the R5. But before we get into the specs and comparing it with the R5, I want to have a little bit of a rant about this pathway for Canon to have gone from the R6 being around about $3,000 price point to now being around about $4,000 price point. Now, whether you're in US or Australia, that might be different where you are. But for me here, I think I would have got changed from about $3,500. And now I'm looking down the barrel of, $4,500. Plus, if I want to get a few extra bits and pieces with it as well, like a cage and whatever, it's probably more like $5,000. And what are Canon doing? They've got everybody on board with the R6 by kind of having that price point that sits in that prosumer level, but still a consumer can stretch that far and pick up an R6. I've edited extensively footage from contractors of mine that's come through, and it's a beautiful image, no doubt about it. But now they're kind of going up and stretching it into the C50 sensor, 32 megapixel sensor, and they've just bumped that price right up. I think it's $1,200 US more than previous. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong there. But basically, I'm not so sure that this is the right way to go for Canon, because interestingly, the R6 Mark III is really compelling for me. Maybe it's the climate we're living in now. Maybe it's tariff city, and that's why it's gone up in price a lot. But you know what? If they had said this is going to be $3,400 body only, I would have jumped on it pre-order and I would have one on the way already. But that over 4,000 Aussie dollars for me is just a little bit too much. All right, rant over. Let's get into what the specs are and why I think this is a really compelling camera and a really good sort of stepping stone for anyone wanting to get into pro level photography and video. I think the key thing for me was 32 megapixel sensor is a step up from the original R6, and it's in line with the C50. So I think the 7K downsampled, it's oversampled 7K. So I think that's really good because you get to a crispy image, and just like the 8K downsampled that I'm filming on right now with the R5, this footage in this image is going to look beautiful. I also had the R7 and I used that extensively on a big shoot that I had recently, and that image held up really well against the R5 image. Again, that's an oversampled image, downsampled to 4K. We've got the Digic X processor, which is the same, CF Express Type B, which I love because I have a 2 terabyte one in the R5. So that just shoots for me all day and I don't have to worry about card storage. It never overheats, it never buffers. It's really, really good. You've got RAW capability, which I'm pretty sure is the open gate on this camera. So that's something that I probably wouldn't utilize a lot. I know a lot of people have raved about this having open gate, but it's a massive file size and I may not use that often. But the fact that you've got it is really, really good. And it shoots up to 180 frames a second. I think that's in full HD. So that's pretty cool as well. Not that I'd ever really use that, but I think 120 frames a second in 4K is really what I utilize mostly for my filming stuff. You've also got different compression methods, high quality Intra, standard Intra, and light Intra. And then you've got long op as well. And I actually mostly use long op or IPB on the R5 now. I've sort of gone away from this idea that you get massive quality bumps from the additional file sizes. They just become cumbersome and you have to store them and all that. So I've actually gone to shooting in long op or IPB mostly for what I do. So I would probably not use the high quality Intra ever. Maybe I'd use the standard or light Intra or the long op IPB. You've got 60p, which is oversampled 6K, which is really nice. And then the 30p and then down from 30p, I think is the oversampled 7K. So that's really good. All my interviews would be shot in 7K, 25 frames a second. So that would work really well for me, and these Pista cameras would be shot in that as well. So the other thing that is a limitation on the R5, which the R6 Mark III gets rid of, is the record limit. So this has got 6-hour record limit. I can just turn this thing on and let it run. So great for a B camera that I don't have to baby and look after the whole time, which will be great. Here is the big step for me: Canon Picture, which is movies, Canon Log 2 and Canon Log 3. So it's got the addition of Canon Log 2, which is going to give me another 1 or 2 stops of dynamic range. So if anything I'm doing around real estate or any shooting on construction sites or anything where it's high dynamic range situations, the R6 Mark III, I think from seeing the C50 footage already, and that's the same sensor, it's going to be a better camera for me. So moving down, you've got the same autofocus as the R5. You've got people detection, animal detection, and vehicles. So that's really good. Obviously, the autofocus we know is excellent. It's got 1053 AF areas available for auto selection, which is maximum zone. So that's really good as well for autofocus for photography, which is awesome. I like the little bump in the photography spec for this camera as well compared to the R6 II. So this will actually be closer to the R5, whereas the R5 is an amazing photography camera. That's why I probably won't upgrade. I'll probably just add the R6 Mark III to what I have currently so I don't have to upgrade and get rid of the R5, because the R5 image for photography is still probably one of the best cameras out there in terms of the big megapixel count. Now, one addition where they've added, which I really like, is the false color. So that's a cool addition. Obviously, it's got zebras, which is normal. The R5 has that too. But the fact that it has got false color is going to be something that I will use. So that's a really cool addition that will be better than the R5. So the other thing not listed on the spec sheet, which is really interesting, is the dual native ISO. So this actually got an ISO, I think it's 800, but then the next one I think is 6400. And that's actually going to be really good because I do shoot a lot on the R5 in 3200, which is really the second native ISO. And I know the R5 is not dual native ISO on the spec sheet, but it's got a really clean ISO setting at 3200. So I often shoot at 3200 in low light situations, in real estate and stuff like that. And then I don't have to have lights and bump everything up in post. It kind of just gives me a really great image at 3200. But the R6 Mark III is, I think the second layer of ISO, or the second native ISO, is 6400. So you get a little bit of extra again. What we can do then is we can ND down. So it gives you that extra reach. Even if you're on like an f4 lens, you can be at 6400 ISO, get a clean image in video, which I think is really good. So I'm excited to see whether that is usable for me as well in more tests as they sort of start to roll out now. Electronic shutter has got 40 frames per second continuous shooting. So that's amazing. That's enough. There's no way you need more than that, even for sort of like sports and high action sort of stuff, which is really good. The LPE6P, that's a great battery addition. So I can still use all my LPE6 batteries from my Canon. I just changed one then. But these won't give me full access to all the features. I think the wireless settings and things need that extra new battery to run. But these will still record everything on these original batteries. So I don't need to upgrade all my batteries. That's a really good thing as well for me coming from the R5. So the other thing is they've got the image stabilization, which is at 8.5 stops. Now, I don't think it's any different really to what we already have in the R5 or the R5 Mark II. I think basically they've just tweaked the software a little bit, and they've also changed how they kind of rate the stops. So I think it's going to be much the same as what we've got already. I love the R5 with an RF lens because the stabilization, everything except vlogging, because vlogging has some sort of warble or some weird stuff going on. I think it's just when the camera just gets on edge and just shakes the way it does when you vlog. 8.5 stops it's not going to take away or stop that, but I don't really use my camera for that. And if I do vlog, I've not got all the image stabilization on anyway, because I'm sort of just being careful where I vlog and I'm not like running around with it so it doesn't get that wobble going on it. So that's for me not something I'm worried about, but that having that extra half a stop, maybe that's going to be worthwhile in photography more so than in video, because I don't think it's really going to change too much. in video. The dual memory slot is really good. Same on the R5 is I have the CF Express Type B and I've got the SD card, and I like it because I can have photos on one and video on the other. And also I can shoot video on the CF Express and then proxies to the SD if I'm doing a massive shoot where I want the raw and I need really big files. Then I can have a proxy workflow that works. I don't have to convert to proxies. I just bring it all, dump it all, and then I'm good to go with the edit. So 4K 120p recording is really good, but I do already have that with the R5, so not so much of a big deal for me. Only other thing I think is the full-size HDMI. And I'm going to just check that that is actually true. So the full-size HDMI, we get it. We finally get it on the Canon camera. Woohoo! So I've just been dealing with the micro HD, which is fine. You know, it's sort of like this size, but you know, super flimsy really when you think about it. It could break any time, and having the full-size HDMI is something that they should have done a long time ago. So that is a welcome upgrade. But yeah, I think that's everything. What do you guys like about the R6 Mark III? Are you like a lot of other YouTubers right now moving to the ZR from Nikon, or are you going to stick with Canon and check out the R6 Mark III? What I want to do is when I get my hands on one, whether it be through loaning it and doing a few videos on it for you guys, or whether it be through getting one myself, I'd love to do some videos on it and do some real stress tests, test the sensor, marry it up against the R5 and see if it's going to be everything that I need it to be. I think the record limit being gone and the fact that it has Canon Log 2, they're two things that alone will make it worthwhile for me to upgrade. And it's weird because upgrade to the R6 Mark III, when really from the R5, it might be a bit of a downgrade, but you know what I mean. I'm going to go sideways to the R6 Mark III, I think. And yeah, love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And thanks so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.